Taurus. Something big is coming. God is protecting you and someone still carries you inside. Have you ever felt it, Taurus? That subtle shift inside you. Not loud, not urgent, but steady. Like a low hum in your chest. A soft knowing that something's changing. Even though nothing around you seems different yet. Maybe you've woken up lately with a strange peace you can't explain. Or maybe a memory keeps returning. Not painful but tender. Familiar. Like someone is thinking of you, even if you haven't spoken in years. If this sounds familiar, it's not your imagination. It's intuition. It's your body sensing a shift before your mind can explain it. And if you're a Taurus, or someone who carries the earthy, intuitive, deeply feeling energy of Taurus, this message is for you. Welcome to Zodiac Wisdom. I'm Sophia, psychologist, astrologer, and your companion on this sacred path inward. This channel was created for women like you. Women over 40 who've spent years being the stable one, the nurturer, the grounded presence for others, and are now hearing a quiet but powerful message from within. It's your time now. In this video, we'll explore a truth your soul already knows, but may not have spoken aloud. Something big is coming, and you are being protected for it. You're being guided, not just by divine timing, but by the presence of someone who may have left your life but never let go of your heart. This isn't about nostalgia. It's about completion. It's about the unseen threads of love and memory that are ready to carry you into your next chapter. So if you feel something stirring, even if it doesn't make sense yet, stay with me. Don't scroll away. The message ahead may be the one your heart has quietly been waiting for. And if at any point something resonates, a word, a sentence, a name, leave a comment. I read each one. Your voice matters here. And your story might be the light someone else needs today. If this space feels like home, I'd love for you to like this video, subscribe, and share it with another grounded soul who deserves to feel what you're about to remember. You are seen. You are guided. You are loved. Take a breath. Let your body soften. You're safe here. Let's begin. Gate 1. Taurus and the sense you can't explain. When the soul knows before the mind. Taurus, your world has always been built from the ground up. You value what's real, what you can touch, hold, and build upon. You're steady even when others wobble. You don't chase the unknown. You wait until it speaks clearly. But what if the message isn't loud? What if the shift is invisible? What if what's arriving now can only be felt? Lately, something inside you has stirred. Maybe it's a restlessness, but not the frantic kind. More like a quiet awareness that something is approaching. Something meaningful. You may have found yourself waking up earlier, not in anxiety, but with an odd sense of readiness. Maybe you've been daydreaming of someone you thought you'd moved on from. Or maybe in the stillness of your routine you've started to feel a presence. A memory, a moment, a name that won't quite leave. Taurus, this is not a coincidence. This is how your soul speaks before life catches up. You are ruled by Venus, the planet of love, value, and deep resonance. And while Venus is often associated with beauty and pleasure, she also governs intuition through embodiment. You don't get flashes of knowing the way fire signs do. You feel your truth slowly, steadily through the tension in your shoulders, the tightening in your chest, the sigh you didn't expect. When your world begins to shift, your body feels it before anything else does. I once worked with Evelyn, a Taurus woman in her early 50s. She came to me not with a question but with a feeling. I don't know what's happening, she said, but I can't stop thinking about a man I knew over 20 years ago. Not with longing, just awareness. Like he's with me again somehow. She wasn't trying to reconnect. There had been no contact. But every time she lit a candle in her kitchen, she thought of him. Every time she walked her dog, something reminded her of a specific summer they had shared. It's not about wanting him back, she said. It's like my body is remembering something my mind forgot. 2 months later, she received a handwritten letter. He had been ill. He had thought of her. And he wanted her to know before leaving this world that she had shaped him in a way no one else ever had. Taurus, this is what you do. You don't just pass through people's lives. You anchor in their memory. You touch their soul without even meaning to. And often they carry you long after you've released them. Right now, your body may be sensing someone's presence. Not because they're coming back, but because something karmic is completing. A soul thread is being acknowledged. A chapter is softly closing. Not with pain but with peace. You may also be feeling the energy of divine protection, like a calm in your spirit that makes no sense on paper. That's because what's coming for you isn't just change. It's alignment. The next steps in your journey aren't being rushed. They're being prepared for you. Quietly, spiritually, safely. And while others may look for signs in the sky, Taurus, your sign is already within you. That shift you've been feeling? That stillness that's grown louder than the noise? It's the universe rearranging everything you thought you lost into a path you can walk with clarity. This isn't anxiety. It's readiness. This isn't longing. It's remembering. And this isn't your imagination. It's divine timing. So take a moment today. Place your hand on your heart. Breathe. And ask yourself, not with pressure but with presence, what have I been sensing that I've been too busy to hear clearly? Then listen. Not for answers. For confirmation, because something big is coming. But it's not coming to disrupt you. It's coming to return something you didn't even know you were missing. And in the next chapter, we'll explore what or who might still be carrying a part of you in their heart, and how that unseen bond might just be guiding you home to yourself. Gate 2. The one who left but never really let go, when the connection still lives in your soul. Taurus, you understand the value of something lasting. You don't invest your heart carelessly. You take your time, you build connection with presence, and when you love, whether it's a friend, a partner, or a family bond, you love for the long haul. But sometimes, even the most grounded connections end, or seem to. Maybe it was someone you loved deeply once. Maybe it ended quietly or abruptly. Maybe there was no real goodbye, only a slow unraveling. And even though you went on with your life, something in you never fully let it go. Not because you're stuck in the past, but because some people don't pass through you, they root in you. And Taurus, when someone plants themselves that deeply in your soul, even time can't fully undo it. Lately, maybe you felt them again. Not in a painful way, just present. Maybe they've appeared in your dreams. Maybe you've heard a song that stopped you mid-step. Maybe their name has surfaced in your thoughts when you weren't thinking of anyone at all. That's not random. That's the resonance. I worked with Nina, a 54-year-old Taurus client who hadn't spoken to her first love in over 20 years. I don't miss him, she told me. I'm not longing. But lately I feel like he remembers me. Is that crazy? She wasn't imagining it. She was feeling an old bond. One that was surfacing not to reopen wounds, but to remind her of a version of herself she had forgotten. Open-hearted, soft, magnetic. She didn't need to reach out. She didn't need closure. She just needed to witness what still lived inside her. Because here's the truth, Taurus. When a connection is made from soul rather than circumstance, it doesn't always vanish with distance. Sometimes it just shifts form. You don't see each other. You don't speak. But a part of them still holds you. And a part of you still honors what was shared. That doesn't mean you want them back. That doesn't mean you're not whole without them. Simply means it mattered. And Taurus, you don't rush to move on from what mattered. You integrate it. That's your gift. You weave memory into meaning. So if you're sensing someone from your past lately, someone who once saw you, hurt you, loved you, or reflected back a version of you you're now reconnecting with, it may not be about them. It may be about you. About the healing that's ready to rise. About the truth that says, you're still worthy of that kind of connection, but in a healthier, more aligned way now. Sometimes a soul connection resurfaces not to be revived, but to be released with love. Not because it failed, but because you've changed. And they have too. But sometimes, Taurus, that energy returns because they still carry you. In silence. In gratitude. In ways they may never say aloud. You are not imagining that pull. You are simply feeling the echo of something unfinished finding its way to peace. And here's the sacred turning point. You no longer need that connection to validate who you are today. Whether or not they reach out. Whether or not they remember. Whether or not they've healed. You've done the work. You've made peace with the parts of yourself that were once wrapped around someone else's presence. And now you get to carry the memory, not the wound. So today, if your heart stirs unexpectedly, let it. You don't need to solve it. You don't need to act on it. You only need to feel it, fully, gently, honestly. Because maybe this isn't about them returning. Maybe it's about you returning to your softness, your tenderness, the deep, steady love you've always been capable of giving. now offered first and foremost to yourself. In the next chapter, we'll explore that sacred turning point. Not the memory, but the choice. The moment when you stop seeking reflection in someone else's eyes and finally begin seeing yourself clearly again. And Taurus, that's when everything begins to change. Not outside of you, but within. Gate 3. The sacred choice. When loving yourself becomes the turning point. Taurus, you've always known how to hold space for others. You know how to stay steady when things fall apart. You've been the shoulder, the sanctuary, the one who listens quietly while everyone else speaks loudly. But here's something few know about you. The one you've often forgotten to hold is yourself. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens gradually. You start to overgive. You silence your needs. You stay a little longer than you should in situations where your spirit has already begun to fade. And because your heart is loyal and your soul is rooted in care, you justify it. It's not so bad. They didn't mean to. Maybe it's just me. But eventually, even the strongest soil dries out when it's never watered from within. And maybe that's where you are now. Not broken. Not empty. Just ready. Ready to stop measuring your worth by what others can carry. Ready to stop waiting for permission to rest. Ready to stop apologizing for needing what you've always given. This Taurus is the sacred choice. Not the loud decision to cut people off. Not the dramatic reinvention. But the quiet, radical act of returning to yourself and saying, I matter too. I remember Lena, a 60-year-old Taurus who spent decades taking care of everyone. Her children, her husband, her employees. When her youngest moved out, she didn't celebrate. She panicked. I don't know who I am when no one needs me, she confessed. So we started simple. One quiet morning, she made herself breakfast, not just toast and coffee, but the full kind of meal she used to prepare for others. She sat at the table. No distractions. No expectations. And she cried. It's the first time in years I've cooked something with love, just for me. That's the moment it shifted. Because Taurus, self-love for you isn't about affirmations. It's about actions. It's in the way you make your bed, not because someone's coming over, but because you deserve beauty. It's in how you speak to yourself when you mess up, kindly, gently, as you would to someone you cherish. It's in how you stop pretending you're okay when you're not, and start choosing people who can hold space for you too. Loving yourself doesn't mean you have it all figured out. It means you're no longer willing to abandon yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. And yes, there will be resistance. You may feel guilt. You may hear the echo of old voices. You're being selfish. You've changed. But those voices aren't truth. They're old survival patterns. And you're not surviving anymore. You're healing. So let the change come slowly, the way Taurus likes best. Grounded. Embodied. Real. Start by asking yourself one question each day. What would love do for me right now? Would it let you rest instead of pushing? Would it walk you outside barefoot in the grass just to feel the earth again? Would it cancel the call you don't have the energy for? Would it let you grieve what you lost? Even if no one else understands it? This is the way back. Not through performance, through presence. And here's what's beautiful. When you begin to love yourself, not in theory but in practice, you stop chasing people who can't meet you. You stop tolerating situations that drain you. You stop betraying yourself for peace that never lasts. You begin to feel what home inside your own skin truly means. You remember that your softness is not a weakness. It's a compass. You remember that your slowness is not laziness. It's wisdom. You remember that your ability to feel deeply is not a burden. It's your superpower. So Taurus, the sacred choice isn't loud, but it's everything. Choose yourself today. Not because you've run out of options, but because finally you're beginning to realize you were the option all along. And in the final chapter, we'll explore what happens next. Not some grand awakening, but the gentle everyday rising that occurs when you build your life not around duty, but around devotion to yourself. Conclusion. You didn't just survive the darkness, you reclaimed your light. Taurus, if you're still here, reading these words, breathing a little softer than when you started, then something inside you already knows. You've changed. Not in a loud, dramatic way. Not in a way the world will immediately notice, but in the way that truly matters. Deep down, quietly, steadily, like the earth thawing beneath spring rain. You didn't just survive what happened, You stayed with yourself when it would have been easier to numb out, shut down, or turn away. You felt what needed to be felt. You listened to what your soul had been whispering for months, maybe years. And in doing so, you did something sacred. You remembered that you don't need to be everything to everyone. You don't need to earn rest. You don't need to wait for someone else to see your worth. You are already worthy, already whole, already allowed to begin again on your terms. This journey hasn't been about fixing yourself. It's been about returning, coming back to the parts of you that were never broken, just buried beneath years of holding space for others. So Taurus, as you walk forward from here, let it be slow. Let it be honest. Let it be yours. You don't need a 5-year plan. You don't need clarity about what comes next. You only need presence and the courage to keep choosing yourself gently in all the small moments that once went unnoticed. And if this message touched something in you, a memory, a longing, a truth you haven't spoken yet, I invite you to share it. Leave a comment below, because your words could be the reflection another Taurus woman needs to feel a little less alone. If this felt like the reminder your heart has been needing, I'd love for you to like the video, subscribe to Zodiac Wisdom, and share it with someone who might be walking a similar path. Because this space isn't about being perfect. It's about being real. And Taurus, you are real in the most beautiful, unshakable way. We'll be back soon with more. How Taurus women build lives rooted in truth, rediscover joy through simplicity, and reclaim love in ways that feel safe and sacred. But for now, just breathe. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel your body in the present. Feel your light, steady and undeniable, rising from within. You didn't lose yourself. You're just now beginning to fully arrive. Welcome home.